2018.
I'm bad with maths, is that 7 years? And Jono made a kind of found footage reel about what kind of film the Elvis movie might be. 7 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you saw the reel, it would be like the movie after living in, the office in Graceland for 18 months and 2 years to himself and the journey of running Moss and Butler and Tom Hanks coming on. I know, my kid said to me, gee, isn't Austin great in that documentary, Dad? And then someone else said to me, gee, I think sometimes, anyway. The thing is that after that great journey, if you see the reel that we made, it is the film. And along the way, along the journey, we thought we might be able to get some footage from the Vegas show and use it in the movie. And we heard the thing about the maybe mythical footage, right? And I had the resources to be able to go into the salt mines in Kansas. That's where they keep the negative. So the guys go in and they say, hey, actually, we have found the negative. Now, there's a lot of technical stuff here, and I'll hand over to Jono on that. But how many hours did we find, Jono?
59 hours worth of original camera.
Yes, 59 hours,
from
right?
From the 2 concert films.
Yeah, the 2 concert films and the tour. And we found some 8mm, some of that you would have seen tonight. But not the sound. Not the sound. Then began what, a 2-year journey? You tell them, John. Well, how many? Because then I went like, this is a great idea. I'll see you later. I'm going to go and make another movie. I'll see you later. I came back and I went, right, let's go to Toronto.
Before we get into that, I'd like to clarify, when Baz found me under my desk at work, asleep, I had been there for like 4 days straight. So I wasn't just sleeping on the job.
A lightweight.
Yeah. But yeah, it was 59 hours worth of film that we kind of had scanned back in 2018, 2019 for kind of research purposes on the movie. It was 15 hours of film which had no sound at all. Now, we had the music performances, so we knew we were going to be okay there. But it was not sunk up at all. So it took, in the system, 2 years at Warner Brothers to kind of sync up the picture to the music performances. And
so Jono went back under his desk for 2 years and sang up the sound. It's really good to see you come out.
Thanks, Baz. Yeah, good to come
But I think the tricky bit with that was they had to actually lip read. What happened is it's probably not the right place to go into the whole technicality of it, but we had to claw back sound. So when you have negative, you make a print. And in those days, you'd split the picture and the sound. So we had to claw back sound from existing beaters and what other sources?
Work track,
prints, a lot of stuff in the black market, blah, 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 find it, all that kind of stuff. And then we had great voice. I mean, one thing I will tell you in a world of AI and auto-tune, that man sings like that with a world.
Yes, he does.
I mean, we heard that voice with nothing around it, and it doesn't matter what's going on right now, it doesn't matter what condition he's in, he is never out of tune. And he is always spiritual when he sings, And then, I guess we clawed it back, and then we built it.
Yeah, for the rehearsals, we had no sound at all. And it was only thanks to the good people at RCA, and we had an Elvis whisperer in Denmark, Ernst Jorgensen, who together with Rob Santos at RCA, we were able to kind of supply us the bits and pieces of the rehearsal tracks, so that we could kind of build those up.
We also met occasionally in dark car parks and had meetings with shady people who would then hand something over and we'd hand something back.
There was definitely a bit of that.
I might have put that up because one of them was kind of a bit scary.
What was in those envelopes?
Actually, I think I can't get into it because actually one of them, John, I was actually genuinely scared. I don't know, Baz. I think if you don't see me, here's my phone number.
Yeah, he visited me at my house.
he knows where you live, John.
Yeah.
So that was the process. I do want to say that we had to make a choice because, the existing documentary, which is terrific, this is Elvis on tour, we could kind of rebake it. And I will tell you, it's quite expensive what we did, because we were very lucky to work with Peter Jackson's Park Road. Went down to New Zealand. Peter's brilliant at bringing footage back. Props to them. If you've seen the Beatles, he was on 16mm. This is 35 anamorphic. So that was a beautiful process. But we cut, I think, how many uncut tracks do we have? We have picture and full sound like this quality. How many bonus tracks do we have?
We've lots. The biggest challenge in cutting this film was actually deciding what performances to use.
Yeah. I know because you're going to ask me this. We had to make a choice, and that was, honestly, we either reheat the original shows, but I think the choice we made, because it's not the end of the road here. I mean, Hampton Road we have in its entirety. Right, in its entirety. Well, that's a whole other show, right? So write to your local theatre if you want to see that as a sequel, just saying.
Absolutely.
But the choice that we made, because I think the breakthrough moment might have been, and I know you want to ask a question in a minute.
No, you're doing a great job. You're doing everything.
No, but can I say, the choice we had to make, because the breakthrough moment, I think, John, was when we found, there's a bit where Elvis is interviewed during one of the rehearsals. He's pretty tired, you can see it's the sort of orange stuff with the blue towel. Anyway, we heard that maybe there was more footage, but we didn't find the footage because the next day he came in. But he did talk to them for 45 minutes, unbroken on tape. And he just talked about his life, and he was so unguarded, and we thought, that's it. Docos, concert films, there's always someone telling you. There's one choice. And the choice is, no matter what we have to do, there's a lot been said, but I'd like to have the opportunity to tell it from my side of the story. And we made the decision that we should let Elvis sing and tell his story himself. And that was really the choice. Kind of a dream, really, a dream. What was the question?
It's such an incredible achievement, and thank you for telling us all about the technical details, because I think we see the screening today and it's completely electric. You blew the house off this whole theater. But to know all of the painstaking detail that went into pulling this together, you know, what an audience doesn't see, you know, all the labor behind it. Because you're focusing on the residency, I'm wondering, do you feel as if that was a reinvention for him at that stage in his life, or more a culmination of what he was meant to do?
I mean, in the end, documentary, which I love, it's somebody's telling of a life. Even a drama, it's somebody's telling. If I was doing a documentary of your life, right? Let's go back to the beginning. but seriously, if I took a camera and I put the camera here, I put the camera there, I put the camera there, it's a choice. And depending on where I put that camera, I'm saying something about you. So any storytelling is somebody's telling. There's a few inalienable facts about Elvis, and I think anyone in this room can agree that at one point Elvis goes away to the army. I mean, he goes away. Before he went away, he was scary. I mean, to the older generation, he was terrifying. His ability to affect youth, all of that, everything is terrifying. Goes to the army, comes back, and he comes back, and there's a reinvention there where he is the highest paid actor in Hollywood. And it got so to a point where I think you could say it became easy. We could get into other parts of the story. It's not the place for it. But what happens is he doesn't know that the world changes. And he kind of becomes a family entertainer. The Beatles come along, the world, he's in a bit of a bubble. And that's being true and kind, and he says it. He actually says in this, it was no one else's fault but my own, but I think that in the place he was, you know, he became, if not irrelevant, lost. And I think he would have said that. And last picture, they actually kind of fired him. And I think I'm not going to say the Colonel, because it's too easy to say, well, Colonel, but Colonel's idea was he could become like a television star of sort of family entertainment. And he said, no. I need to show the audience what I can do. I need to get back to being Elvis. And that is what drove him. There was the comeback special, and that was the beginnings, but it was an audience that came in. No, he wanted to go to Vegas. And when he was going to Vegas, they really thought he was going to do a nostalgia show, just do the 50s numbers and all of that. No, wouldn't have a part of it. He wanted a big sound. The Beatles are out there. He wanted to take a song that Simon and Garfunkel did, and like he did with everything, make it his own. I mean, Bridge Over Troubled Water is an amazing song. When Elvis takes it, it's an amazing prayer, and I think that's the great thing. It makes him an Orphean-like singer. And so he creates the show. It's only going to happen once. Rolling Stone sends the groovy young critic along, and they're ready to eviscerate him and say he's irrelevant. The groovy young critic with the long hair says, I have been in the presence of greatness. That's the word. So it's the moment when he sort of becomes more than Elvis. And then, of course, when you become that high, and for various reasons, he comes back the next summer, and then he goes on the tour, 15 cities in 15 days. He goes round and round and round and round and round and round and round, and then close to the sun. And then that part of the story won't go into, because it's so nice to be left with the powerful, the beautiful, and that which lives on.
I want to get to audience questions in just a moment. I know there's a lot of fans out there, but one line that struck me near the start of the film is that Elvis says, when they pay their money to come out and see you, these people want to come and see a show. He understood the value of showmanship, of spectacle, of the detail that goes into a show, and it reminded me of everything that we also love about a Baz Luhrmann production. And so I'm wondering, does that ring true to you, that idea of showmanship? Has Elvis been a kind of creative inspiration in that way to you?
Well, I don't know about that. I'm a simple country boy from a small country town, but I mean, have a look at this belt. That's an insider joke. I am from a small country town, smaller than Tupelo, in fact. You see, showmanship can be sometimes misunderstood, because when you see Elvis, the one thing that I'm really sure about, you can see it, is that he's also a very spiritual person. So if you go into a gospel church, if you go into a spiritual place, there's a degree of theatricality that also comes with a way of bringing an audience into a unity so they can receive like a spiritual unity, and you can deliver a message inside of that. You can sometimes go into the heart to go to the brain, or you can go to the brain to come to the heart, right? But the thing you try and do is bring both of them along. So I like to think that even though I make shows, absolutely, they're made for audience participation. They are made with showmanship, they're made as sort of, some people call it razzle-dazzle. But then right in the middle of it, I like to flip it and say, yes, but it is about something. And whether that's about, the growth through pain or impossible love, it is about something. And I think what was kind of interesting, I thought was a great choice with Jono, we didn't want to go too much into the difficult part because he talks about it, but and if you think about the world we're in now, when Elvis sings in the ghetto, which nobody wanted him to do, no, not a message song, too political, but then he does that little speech about you see your brother along the way. And then when he goes into walk a mile in my shoes, that is a man who has such profound empathy for other people. That is a truth you cannot take away from Elvis. Empathy for others. And so there is an underlying greater universal idea. But yes, he's a hell of a showman too.
You mentioned spiritual unity, and I feel like that was present in today's screening. Would you all agree? Okay, I want to get a question in. Anyone have a question?